Welcome to season 2 of No Shelf Control, the podcast with books, booze, and banter, hosted by authors for readers, because let's face it, we're all bookworms at heart.
Oh, I forgot that I read part of it. I was like, I'm not doing anything this episode. Hold on, I'm coming. Where is it? Oh my God, it's like at the very end. Okay. This season, we will be chatting. And now my screen's not big enough. I can't see the whole thing. This season, we'll be chatting about book-to-screen adaptations and trending book talk books. I'm Lindsey Sparks.
And I'm Lindsey Pogue. Grab a cocktail, kick back, and enjoy the show.
Wow.
Welcome to this episode of season 2, everybody.
Oh, man.
Technical difficulties, I guess we could say. Or user
I mean, they weren't
errors.
technical. They were just me.
Yeah, user errors. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, so welcome to this episode of season 2 No Shelf Control podcast. Tonight, the Lindseys will be discussing the book-to-screen adaptation of The Shining Girls by Lauren Beukes. Is that what we decided her last name is?
That's how I've been saying it.
Okay, we're good. Lauren, don't take it personally. We can't really pronounce anything.
I have to say, LP, your hair looks really pretty. Did you get it done?
Oh, thank you. I got the grays covered today for sure.
It's like it looks styled.
Yeah, it's like every time I go in and see Ceci, she makes sure she does it pretty for me. So at least I feel like a human once every 3 months.
I know. That's when I go in to get my hair done to get my hair cut. It's the only time my hair is styled in like a 3-month period.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, thank you very much. I was like looking at the roots when she was doing it done. I was like, oh my gosh, I was looking at the grays and I was like, I mean, I know they're there and it's totally fine. I really don't have issues with it, but I guess it's easy for me to say that because I just covered them up. But I told her, I was like, man, it's so weird that I can like see them like right off the bat because I'm just so used to not seeing them, I guess, because they're always blonde, you know. Anyway, well, I am almost 40, so I don't know.
I know.
It's crazy. I know. It's so weird. Anyways, how are you this lovely Wednesday evening?
I'm good. I am, as we were talking about before we started recording, still struggling with my illness.
Yeah.
So if people notice any weird pauses or if any like coughs or gross throat clearings accidentally make it through, I apologize. It is absolutely 100% me. But I'm here.
Yeah, no, it's good. I feel like there's a lot to unpack in this episode. So
I know. Oh my gosh. I feel like I know we both watched the show with our husbands and we both had similar experiences.
Yeah, so we read the book and we watched the show. Well, I listened to the audiobook. I'm assuming you did as well. Yeah. So and then we watched the show. So it was just very interesting to compare them. And yes, I did make my husband watch the show with me and he was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And I was like, literally don't know because this is not in the book. Your guess is as good as mine. But anyway, yeah, so we have a lot to unpack there. But before we get started, I know you're not drinking anything adult beverage wise, but what are you sipping on tonight?
Yeah, I still not feeling the urge for wine, which is how you know that I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
Because I always want wine. But I am drinking sparkling water, good old Spindrift. It's a Spindrift. My go-to. Yum. How about you?
So I'm chugging along. So it's 8 p.m. here. So we'll end there.
Also here.
But I mean, like in general, people listening at 8 a.m. on like a Tuesday morning, it's actually 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night. So yeah, I'm super tired. So Dennis made me a Sea Breeze, which is a cranberry and grapefruit vodka drink, but he put in a splash of like a fruit punch Rockstar or something. I do not drink what are they called, energy drinks? I don't even know what they're called. I do not drink them at all, so he hopefully used in moderation because I do want to get through this, but I do want to go to bed afterwards. hours. So we'll see. I might stay up and watch like some Viking drama for the next 4 hours for all I know. Anyways, but yeah, so that's what I'm sipping on. It's delightful.
It sounds refreshing.
Yeah, no,
shockingly grapefruit.
Right. It actually tastes more like fruit punch from his stupid rocks. But it's still good. It's just a little sweet. What are you reading? I know that we just finished this book, but what do you got? Anything else going on?
Yeah, I am listening to A Throne of Ruin by K.F. Breene. It's the second. I can never remember what the series is called. I want to say it's like Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales or something like that. I mean, K.F. Breene is hilarious and like it's over the top with like the explicit scenes. It's just so fun.
Awesome.
It's like, this is unnecessary, but I like it. So I'm enjoying that. It's a super fun story. The first book is like a dark fantasy Beauty and the Beast. And then I don't know if this one's based on another.
It's not the same
fairy tale. It's the same people, but I don't know if because I'm pretty sure the series is called Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales. Which like makes me wonder if like each one is like inspired by a different fairy tale. So I don't know. And I don't feel like I'm reading anything else right now. I just went through all of the errors for the Song of Scarabs and Fallen Stars audiobook to send to one of the narrators, and so it feels like I just read that because I was just listening through to like all the spots that my assistant had marked to like see if those were errors that we needed to pass on or not. Because sometimes if it doesn't like change the meaning, I'm just like,
I'm the same way. I'm like, man, I don't care. Yeah. No, I totally get it.
Yeah,
I totally get that.
But I think that that's all I've got going on. I think because I am in a more like my head needs to be in my own story, so I don't have like multiple books going on right now.
Yeah, I was going through a phase there for a while and I had a bunch of them. I have a lot going on too. So between trying to fit in listening to this book and watching the show, and then also I'm beta reading for Anne Geever right now for her new Zompok story. And I also needed to read through City of Ruin, one final sweep, because I didn't do my printout of the manuscript this time like I usually do. I don't know. I just didn't. I was like, I don't know if I can just cut that, from my process. But then, of course, as I was doing the read through of the paperback, because I ordered it early, I found a couple inconsistencies of like eye color for like one of the like offshoot characters, whatever. Like, oh, I'm fixing that. So again, I'm like, okay, I guess I need to start printing those, keep printing those manuscripts out I read because Lindsey. Anyway, not a big deal. I figure if 8 betas and an alpha and 4 proofreaders didn't pick it up, it's not that big of a deal, but still, I got it. But then I have been listening to, as for an audiobook, like when I'm driving and stuff, I'm listening to my first Lucy Score book. And if anybody listens to pretty much any of the author podcasts, you have probably heard who she is. Probably have heard who she is. And I've heard about her all the time, but I've never actually read one of her books. And it is so witty and good. I'm loving it. So I think I'm definitely a fan now. Yeah.
She's always very inspiring to listen to. It's like one of those things when you're an author who has little kids and you listen to authors who don't have kids and they're like talking about all the stuff they can do, and because she doesn't have kids, it's always kind of like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Must be nice. Yeah.
Must be nice. I mean, I would never like trade my kids for
right.
But it's just always kind of like, yeah, like I could see why that would work if you had like a whole day.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And her books are really long. So that's kind of nice too. I don't feel like I'm getting, just a lot of romance authors will just do like 50 or 60,000 words and that'll be like a big cliffhanger, but it's like I'm on chapter 61 and I still have like 2 hours left of the audiobook. So I mean, or maybe an hour. But anyway, I mean, it's decent. And so,
And she does
anyways,
like,
it's fun.
it's like contemporary romance or
Yeah, it's like,
rom-com
it's
kind of.
yeah, it's rom-com, but it's also really steamy. So it's really
Ooh,
nice
fun.
balance, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, and the narrators are great and stuff. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. It's definitely something fun to pass the time. So yeah, just because I'm kind of in a lot of different worlds right now. So anyway, what have you been working on?
I just finished the beta revisions for Blood of the Broken, so the 5th Atlantis Legacy book, this afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm just going through and getting my last few like parentheses items, the things that are like big FUs to future me, which is actually present me.
Right.
And then I just want to like punch past me in the face for doing that, but it helps the story come out faster. So I did officially name the fungus.
Oh, what's it called?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh.
It's I don't know.
It's
but
fine.
it's inspired by Greek mythology.
Fun.
Had something to do with like hallucinogens and
It's what's hilarious is you don't remember, but it's in the script like 700 times.
I know. Well, because I just copied it and I was like, I picked the spots where it made the most sense to just paste it in. So yeah, I'm sure I'll remember what it's called after I read it out loud. At that point, it'll probably.
Oh, that's the next step for you. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, no. So the next step for me is next week. I'm just going to be going through. Well, actually, there's 2 more little steps. Next week, I'm going to be going through the manuscript with Pro Writing Aid, just to like
clean it up,
make it better, just grammar wise and word choice wise and stuff like that. Highly recommend that if there's any writers or authors who listen and don't have that as part of their process. I know my copy editor she said she could tell a difference when I started doing it. She was like, I was going to ask you if you were doing something different, because I usually hand over pretty clean manuscripts, but she was like, this is really clean.
Yeah.
So I think it makes her job a lot easier and she can focus more on like more important stuff. Yeah. Not that she's like, Holly is an amazing editor and she does more than a copy edit when she does her edit. So, but I am tomorrow and Friday. So because today's Wednesday, tomorrow and Friday, I am writing my like extended scenes. So it's just going to be like 2 solid days of just writing.
For Blood of the Broken specifically?
Mm-hmm. So there's like 4 steamy scenes and then there's going to be a bonus epilogue. And I did not even think about this, but one of my patrons was because I launched a Patreon. Oh, I should mention that. I'll mention that in a second. But one of my patrons, when I asked them for what stories they want me to write for next month, they were like, write us something from Hades' perspective. And I was like, oh my God, I could totally do that as one of the extended scenes, because the whole book is from Cora's perspective, but these are the extended scenes. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do it.
That's fun.
Yeah. So I'll probably just write the whole scene from Hades' perspective, and then extend it beyond where it ends, from Cora's perspective. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be really fun. And then I did last Wednesday on June 1st. What month is it? On June 1st, I launched my Patreon, my new Patreon, because I had an old Patreon that I canceled last fall. But I launched a new Patreon, which is at its core for me to post spicy stories. So it's 2 different things really. So it's The Last Vampire Queen, which is a spicy paranormal romance reverse harem serial, which LP had the I don't know if like joy of, or she had the duty.
I had behind the scenes access, like however many,
like 7 years ago. Yeah, I totally revamped this like totally ridiculously overcomplicated thing that I had written like 7 years ago as a paranormal erotic paranormal romance probably is what it was called then. Now I would just say it's like it's just extra spicy, or reverse harem paranormal romance. Like people can get away with so much more now. Anyway, so I've got that serial on there. And then I am doing just like extended scenes from books that I've already published. Any like spicy or steamy scenes that faded to black, or anything that's like kind of like vaguely referenced. All of that stuff is like up for possible expansion in this. Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. It's really fun. I'm excited to like compile all of the suggestions that all my patrons have come up with and let them vote to see which will actually be the patron's choice story. So
I like that, giving them the option of what they want to read next.
It's going to be really fun.
Cool.
So yeah, that's all the stuff I'm working on. And I will put a link for that in the show notes if anybody wants to check it out. It gets a little explicit. just so you know.
It's called what? Sparks and Spice?
Sparks and Spice. Well, I guess it's Sparks plus Spice. It's just, if you go to Patreon, it's just author Lindsey Sparks.
Yeah, that's fun though.
Yeah.
I like the name.
Yeah.
Very fun. Yeah, I still need to read I started the first episode that you sent me, but I've just been so busy. But I already, it was funny. I don't see very many similarities from before, but then at the same time, that I read that so long ago. There's only a couple things that I remember. So
that whole the first one, I pretty much totally rewrote. It was like vaguely inspired by the original like opening chapter. And then the rest of it was like pretty much new. And then the second episode is much closer to I do words good.
Me too.
A scene that was in it's basically like one solid scene, maybe it's like two scenes, that was from the original serial. So just with like a bunch of details changed and stuff added in and language cleaned up and language dirtied down.
Yeah.
So
well, that's fun. That's a nice little fun thing to be able to dapple into your.
Yeah, and now it's fun to like, as I'm writing each thing, I'm thinking, or each book, like as I was writing Blood of the Broken, you know, I was thinking of like all the different scenes that I could expand for Patreon that are not like necessary scenes for the book. So I wouldn't include them in the book because they don't move like either the plot or the characters' development forward. They're just superfluous. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
But there's still things that people would want to see, you know, like if they're big fans.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's fun.
Anyway, yeah. So that is everything that I have been working on since our last episode. How about you?
What am I working on? I have been only have a couple chapters done of the Snow White and the Huntsman Viking story that I'm writing, the Land of Fury. But I am in the middle of like a read through before I send because I'm doing my revisions from my alpha copy of my Norse inspired Robin Hood tale. That's the Sea of Storms. So that is going smoothly, and I should have that spades within the next week or two. So that feels really good. This was a very unexpected story for me. It's much steamier than the other one.
I'm excited.
It's only one perspective.
I'm also excited about that.
My books are, it's like I kind of write, and I know I've told you this before. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on the podcast, but I'm not consistent with how many POVs I do, but it just has to do with like the situation and what I need to show and what I need to know and what we can't know about characters. You know, it's like it's just like it's just part of the craft of the story as to if I need them or not. And like Tide and Tempest, I didn't need another POV. This one, I don't need another POV. I mean, people might be let down, but I don't know. It just didn't feel natural, you know? So I don't think there's going to be a third or a second third. I don't think there's going to be a second POV, a male
Skip the
POV
second.
in the in Land of Fury either. But we'll see. It's outlined, but you know, things have a way of changing. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this one was very surprising. I wasn't expecting to get teary-eyed writing this one, and I wasn't expecting to fall in love with my two main characters either. So I'm very pleasantly surprised with Sea of Storms. So we'll see if it can match City of Ruin, because I know a lot of people like that one. So
yeah, I'm excited.
We'll see. I'm sure there are plenty of other things, but those are the two big things. I'm really trying to stay focused on writing and get my revisions done. So yeah, and then I have my release coming next week, so I've just been like trying to send books to Patreon people, and you know, getting all the art copies out and all that stuff. So
fun.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited to finally get this City of Ruin in people's hands, because it's exciting. I've said this before, but this is the book I'm the most giddy about that I've published. So it makes me, it's just exciting.
Are you doing any kind of release day celebration?
I'm doing a special giveaway bundle for my newsletter peeps. I'm going to do a giveaway on my Facebook page. It's just going to be like a signed, you know, paperback or whatever. It's not gonna be like a really cool bundle or anything that I'm doing with swag and whatnot for the newsletter. But yeah, I'm not gonna do a huge giveaway this time, just because people aren't familiar with the series, you know, so I want to wait. I'll probably do something big towards the end when people have actually started reading the books in the series and they can really get excited about it, you know. So anyway, but I have a lot of really cool swag coming in. So, and it's fun I see all these orders coming in for paperbacks and stuff, and I get excited because I can't wait to send people all the new stuff that I have coming in. So anyway, that's like the fun authory stuff that's not just bookkeeping and, you know, writing that like we can get excited about. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's me. Yeah, should we dive into our discussion today?
Yeah,
I will go ahead and read the description. This is for the book specifically. I'm not going to read anything about the show. We'll talk about that. But so The Shining Girls, and again, the author is Lauren. What did Beukes? I don't know. Oh, I feel so bad. Anyway, yes, Lauren. The Shining Girls. In Depression era Chicago, Harper Curtis finds a key to a house that opens onto other times, but it comes at a cost. He has to kill the Shining Girls, bright young women burning with potential. Curtis stalks them through their lives across different eras until 1989. One of his victims, Kirby Mizrahi, survives and starts hunting him back. Working with a former homicide reporter who is falling for her, Kirby races against time and reason to unravel an impossible mystery. So there you have it. We are heading into spoiler territory. So
we're gonna spoil the crap out of this book.
Yeah, we really are. The show and the book. So warning, danger, Will Robinson. Do not move forward if you do not want to know what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was telling you earlier, at first I kept thinking, okay, well, let's talk about what's different about the show and the book. But then
everything.
It's so many things that I had a hard time. So let's just start with let's see, where should we start? Do you want to start with the main character, or do you want to start with like the issue of like the timeline, because it could kind of go either way as far as like a big major shift? So what do you think?
I mean, we can start with the timeline, or
yeah, okay, well, let's do that. So there's a timeline that definitely it jumps throughout the story, right? When you're listening to the book, it goes back and forth between, you know, the eras.
I think so. I've been thinking about this. I think that the book but not the show. Definitely not the show. But the book follows Harper's timeline.
Yes.
Does that seem correct?
I think so, yes. So it starts when, like
and Harper's timeline is non-linear.
Yeah.
Like Harper's jumping all over the place.
So maybe we should take a step back and before we even go into this and say, overall, did you enjoy this? I don't want to say this book because we're talking about two different things, but did you enjoy this story? Or like
I did. I enjoyed both for different reasons. I had things that I didn't like about both that were different things that I didn't like about both.
Yeah. So I struggled with both of them. I'm not really a fan of either. I think for me, and that's the reason why I wanted to kind of go back, is because there is timeline jumping, and especially listening to a third person story with time jumping
with like 5 or 6 different narrators.
Yeah, that was kind of confusing for me because then you have to try and recall, well, wait, what year was the last person in? You know what I mean? So that was kind of difficult for me. But I in general, I'm not a huge fan of like overlapping and changing timelines just because, but overall, like that is a huge thing that happens. And so that's why when we're going in and we're talking about the difference between the two.
Well, can I just jump in and say, like, so basically Harper, the guy who he's like this Depression era guy, and he discovers this house, or he finds the key to this house, and the house allows him to like travel to different time periods within a certain window. So it's something like 1920 something to 1993 or something like that. Yeah. And he doesn't understand why he has this limit.
Yeah.
So, and he can't, well, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff that was not explained.
Yes, that is another thing. There is a
lot. He can't make it past 1993 because the house stops existing and he's dead, basically, is the reason, So, spoiler, he dies in the end.
So, and I listened to the book before I watched it, so I might get this confused. So correct me if I'm wrong. But in the book, he keeps calling himself like he's a hobo, right? Like he's not even. Didn't he say, like, wasn't he in the hospital because he hurt himself because he felt he like got into a.
Well, he was living in a Hooverville. I mean, he's, or
maybe he just got in a fight with the hobo. That term was used multiple times. Hobo. So now I'm just trying to remember.
I mean, he did definitely seem like he was transient. Like he didn't like have a home. But like he was like a very Depression era, like ex-soldier, like, or veteran from World War I. And he had like, what did they call warrior or soldier's heart or whatever. Like he definitely was like, suffered from the war, but he also was just like a psychopath.
Yeah. So, well, what's interesting, we're talking about the timeline, is in the book, in the beginning, you kind of see, or closer to the beginning, you see his timeline. And like you said, it's more linear. In the show, you don't even know what the hell he's doing and how he's doing it until the very end.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. I was actually trying to figure out if it was more confusing or if it helped having read the book to watch the show.
Because like you were looking for the connections, and it's like, it was interesting because I felt like they there were certain things in the book that they repurposed in the show. I felt like the glow girl. What was her name?
No, not Jenny. Something with this. The one who worked in the
it's
factory.
With a K, right?
Yeah.
It's not
like
Kara.
Caroline or something. I don't know, but
but it's like his child in the show. It was like his childhood friend, who he fell in love with or was obsessed with, and in the book there were 2 different characters that I felt were combined into this person, Etta the nurse, and then the glow girl, who was, that part was the same. She was a dancer and she painted herself with radium to make herself glow in the dark. She was like a boudoir dancer. But yeah, I maybe they just felt like they needed to like simplify that part. Yeah, I think like something with the both, well, at least with the book, it made a little bit more sense why he was killing the girls. They had like a spark, something about them that like connected them to the house. And I feel like to the house, this like magic house, that we never really know why it is the way it is. But I feel like parts of the show kind of like filled in some of that for me, in terms of the astronomer. What's her name? Jenny?
That was Jenny. Yeah.
Or Jin Sung or whatever.
I thought her name was Jenny.
Jenny?
I think so. Yeah.
But
she has her theory about things.
Yeah, about how they're like entangled particles or something. I don't know. Somehow they're like, it's almost like because he killed them, they're all entangled, so they're tied to the house. I don't know. It's like very vague. It's definitely not. I always like to have an explanation for things, and like even in the show, I know I'm like going on a big old monologue right now.
No, it's fine.
In the show with like the timeline and the time loop, I wanted, you remember in the final episode, it opened and we get to see like I want to say he's German, the guy from like 18 something.
Yeah, the guy who
he
took the house from.
Yeah. So he discovers, this guy in like 1840 something discovers this house. It definitely shouldn't be where it is. And when he gets in there, there's a dude who's wearing like very, I don't know, late 80s tracksuit and sneakers. And I was so irritated that they didn't tie that back in and have that be someone we knew. I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be Leo, who is an added character for the show. Like, why wouldn't they have like just like tied up that loop? That really frustrated me in the show, that there was just this random person that we don't know who it is who had hung himself and said like all yours in a note to like German guy a century and a half
because
earlier.
I mean, obviously this house is wreaking havoc on I mean, people are dying because of whatever this house can do for whatever reason, for sure. And I think, just for listeners who haven't read or watched anything, there is a lot of time jumping, like we were saying. I mean, you have between the show and the book, you have people in pre-war era, then you have the war era and the Depression, and then you go all the way to the 90s, and it's every chapter is a different, it goes between a few different characters, especially in the book, and you're in different timelines for each one. And there's all these little hints and these puzzle pieces that you have to put together throughout the whole story. While there are less characters in the actual show, they added a whole other layers to it that weren't in the book. So that's when we talk about Kirby and her, like,
and Kirby is the other main character from the book. Like, it's Kirby, and Harper is the serial killer who can jump through time because of this house. And then Kirby is the victim who didn't die.
Yeah.
And so that seems to like begin to cause the unraveling.
Yeah.
Her not dying. And he, in the book, when he discovers that she's still alive, I really, that scene really stuck with me. He was like, it threw him off so much. He was like, no, like she's supposed to be dead. And then he gets obsessed with her. Like because he can feel things unraveling and like it's all falling apart. And he realizes that she didn't die. And so then it's like, he feels like he has to
find her,
fix it.
Yeah.
He has to fix it because he can feel himself losing kind of like control of the map or whatever.
So the thing that for me that I was trying to figure out the whole time, which again, they kind of Jenny alludes to the astronomer when she comes, when she's talking about, everything being semi-connected and relying on each other, is so the difference between the book and the show is that Kirby after she survives, her world, obviously it goes through trauma. So her life is never the same, but it literally is never like, she could wake up one day and she's in a house she's never been in with a husband she never married. And her mom is, instead of she's some rocker chick, she's like some singing at some church choir, you know, like it, like there's so many things, like it switches. So there's this whole other level of like craze that we're trying to figure out, you know, watching the show, which is really, I'm trying to figure out why they did that. Like what, like it's interesting to an extent, but it's also really convoluted if you read the book.
It was, I think that element was the thing that makes having read the book, makes it more confusing when you're reading the book and watching the show, and you're trying to find the connection, or you're waiting for that to start happening in the book, and it never does because that's not in the book. But I actually loved that part of the show. I thought it was really cool.
It was really interesting. I don't think I'm necessarily happy with the way they explained it, but at least they, like you said, they did give some sort of, they tried, you know, they did give some sort of an explanation.
It definitely was like a very like willy-nilly explanation. I mean,
it was just very vague.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, if one thing changes, then something else has to change too, you know?
Yeah.
It's almost like they said the butterfly effect, but they never actually say that. It's almost like that's kind of what. Well,
I think what the thing is, my understanding is that because Kirby is like tied to the house, even though she doesn't know it exists, but because Harper, kind of like Jenny says, like they're all entangled. Harper tried to kill her. She didn't die. So now she's tied to the house and his timeline. And so she's outside. She's no longer a part of the, like, you know, shifting timeline or whatever. Like the people who are still inside the timeline and not tied to this magical house, they can't see stuff when it changes, but she can because she's tied to the house. Like she's outside of it kind of. And then only when Jenny misses her death day does she become,
Kirby helped her.
Because Kirby helped her. Now she's outside of it too.
So do you think, I don't know if it ever actually came out and said it or not, but for the show, and this is so funny because it's not funny. It's actually really difficult to even talk about this book as it is, watching the show and reading the book. I can only imagine anybody listening to this who has never watched.
I know. I'm like, this isn't going to make any sense. What the
fuck are they talking about right now? Yeah. So we apologize. This is a very confusing situation. But I was just like, so is it your understanding that every time Kirby's world shifted, suddenly she had a husband, suddenly she had a different car, suddenly whatever it was, I mean, she never had a car, but you know what I mean? That had something to do with Harper and his timeline shifting and changing her timeline. Because otherwise, why? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, because like he said, remember when he told her, he was like,
she'll know.
She'll
know. And that was when Dan's car changed. And
but it took her a long time to figure it out too. And so I think that they did a really good job of making Kirby kind of an unreliable narrator in the fact that she has no idea what's going on. She feels like she's losing her mind. She doesn't feel like she can talk to anybody. Like I also about Kirby and her. Kirby in the book is very
different.
They're like totally different characters. I would say she's more of like a static character in the book. She doesn't really have like a growth arc or anything.
Right.
Kirby's
she's very reliable in the book.
Yeah. Kirby's transformation in the show is amazing. And Elizabeth Moss is amazing anyway. So
yeah, so I wanted to bring that up too. I 100% agree. I think that she's very consistent in the book, whereas in the show, she's very, she stresses me out. She gives me anxiety.
Yeah, honestly, like when it first started out, I was like, I feel like
she's much darker.
When in the start of the show, okay, Kirby has survived in something horrifying.
Yeah,
Harper, who she doesn't know who he is at this point, but he attacked her, killed her dog, and while she was out walking her dog, and that whole scene I was going to talk about that. But and then he tried to gut her. Like he did gut her essentially. She just didn't die.
Yeah.
You know, and she survived.
Yeah.
So she has this like huge scar, like her intestines were outside of her body. I mean, like she was gutted.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was a lot more realistic how Kirby was at the beginning of the show than how Kirby is in the book.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I didn't, I mean, unless she's just like masking. But in the book, she's like a very kind of punky, bubbly, like I don't know, like.
But also keep in mind too, in the book, she also has that whole other level, or not in the book, sorry, I'm confuse everyone. In the show, she also has that whole other level of everything changing. Remember, she has that diary or that journal she keeps of all the things that keep changing. So there's that whole other level of insanity too that she's dealing with. Yeah. So yeah, she's a much darker character. Yeah. And I think amazing casting, right? Like she did that, and I'm pretty sure. I think Elizabeth Moss is the one who directed that. Actually. Did she? I think or at least she did at least one episode. I don't know if she did the whole show, but she was clearly in that to win it. You know, like she was in there.
I mean, I already loved her from Handmaid's Tale, so like she is really good at playing women in horrible situations.
Yeah. Yeah. So that. So yeah, their characters were very different. And I definitely think the casting was on point because it was, as far as the show, it felt very visceral. And I don't know, like just her in general, like I said, she kind of just watching. I think that's another reason why I was like not a huge fan of the show. Like I was interested, but I was also like, every time I finished watching that show, I just felt like gross and depressed.
It was like it was heavy.
I know, and I just wanted to be like, can I just like watch The Land Before Time or something? Like
that's also heavy.
True. I didn't really watch Land Before Time. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know why, but anyway, I was just like, this is just not what I want to watch it right before I go to bed. You know, like it was just super deep and creepy. So, anyway,
I really did enjoy though. Like by the end of the show, Kirby was like,
oh yeah,
she was
a badass.
Yeah, and she had confidence.
She was outsmarting him.
Yeah, and she was. I mean, they're both obsessed in their own ways.
Yeah, she's obsessed to figuring out and stopping Harper from what he's doing especially when she figures out who he is. Yeah. And then he's obviously obsessed for other reasons.
Clara, sorry.
Oh yeah, Clara the blonde. Yeah.
Sorry. Blurting.
The dancer, that's who she's talking about.
The dancer, the glow girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to say this because Harper, I was like, man, whatever in the book. Like he was the bad guy. Jamie Bell was
oh my God,
an amazing choice for him.
I know.
I was like, oh my God, this is the creepiest fucker I've ever seen. Like, oh my gosh. They did such a good job, and he did such an amazing job with that role. He was so good, and I love him in so many things. He's been around for so long. He's been in all these like historical films. All of a sudden, he's like some like creepy, like crazy.
Oh, stuff. He was so when he's like, I remember, you know, that scene when he sees was her name Julia or Julie, the social worker.
Yep, Julie.
And he's like, you shouldn't wear your hair like that. And she's like, don't touch me. And
I was just like, she was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah. Ugh. He was just like every like misogynistic, like, I mean, he's from the 20s. He's exactly.
But he's also a creep. Like
he's also a psychopath. I mean, he totally was creepy. And like the things he would say, like when he killed Clara and I loved the way that they seeded that in an earlier episode, by the way, when they had him lie on the bed and there was like that stain,
I was trying to think,
and you're like, what
I
is
saw
that?
Together,
And then finally in a later episode, we see she's got her like glow powder on her and he ends up strangling her on the bed. And that's where that stain comes from. But when he says like, you always did before, or like, like he said, he slips up every once in a while and he'll say something that cues in the other person who, you know, that he is messing with.
He's been in time, going back and forth in time.
Yeah.
And she catches on, which is really cool. I like that.
And she's like, why don't I remember it? And then he's like, She's like, how many times have you brought me here? Why don't I remember it? Well, because he kills you.
Yeah.
So
Not only is Harper like a total mind, but he like just the show in general. I don't know. It's intense. I definitely, if people like thrillers, I mean, now that we've given everything, it's worth it to watch, but yeah, it's definitely not my normal genre. Okay, so we agree that Harper was amazing. I didn't really have, I don't know if it's because I was told in third person or not from the story standpoint in the book, but I didn't really have any feelings one way or the other for most of the characters. Whereas I feel like I definitely got the creep vibes from Harper in the movie.
Oh yeah, I definitely had a lot more connection with the characters in the show, because I don't know, that I just don't connect very well with third person, I think is part of the problem. And it wasn't like a super close third person either.
Yeah, it was very detached. Well, again, and there was multiple characters, so it wasn't even like you can just try and get invested in, you know, Kirby and Harper. It was everybody.
Yeah.
Overall, I think that I'm trying to think of the other characters that weren't in it. So Leo was added to the show, but he wasn't in the book. Dan was in both, but there was no real romantic ties to Dan, like not like it was in the book as far as in the show.
Yeah. And Dan's kid was new for the show. And Kirby's sometimes husband was new for the show.
Rachel was pretty different. Rachel was in both, but she was different.
Rachel wasn't nearly as significant of a character in the book.
Yeah.
That's Kirby's mom.
Yeah.
And I liked the addition of the animal character. The changing animal. Grendel, the animal that kept changing, transforming from cat to dog to little dog to big dog.
Yeah.
As the world shifted.
Oh yeah, I guess that was the same quote unquote animal the whole time, huh? I was just like, why does her dog keep changing? Why does she have a cat now?
It was so stressful though, like when she one of the like reality shifts and all of a sudden she had a husband. I was like, I feel so stressed out for her.
I know, right? And it was his birthday and she was supposed to do all these things and she's like, wait, what? And then he's like, oh, you were supposed to do all these things for my birthday. And she's like, she's like, meanwhile, her entire life just turned upside down.
Yeah.
How do you, I mean, that just, you could lose your mind just trying to put yourself in her position the whole time.
Yeah.
Even Clara's character changed, right? Because Clara in the book, was she I can't remember if she was a longtime friend or not.
No. He saw the glow girl, at the hospital. That was the first time he saw her.
That was supposed to be Clara. Okay. All right.
Slash Etta. I mean, Etta, the nurse, who he also met at the hospital. Yeah. Which
actually, when he went into the hospital in the book, that wasn't from Kirby, right? That was from the fight with the hobo people.
Yeah, that was from the fight with that was before he found the house.
Yeah. So
and then he found the key in the coat that he stole from a woman after he strangled her in front of her kid. I mean, he's a terrible person.
Oh my God, I don't even remember that part. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Yeah, I was just trying to get all the see what kind of characters.
I did really like, there was a weird change from the book to the show that I didn't understand. Dan, the reporter, the like criminal reporter or whatever, he was like Spanish or something in the book.
Portuguese, I think, Dennis.
Portuguese? Oh, okay. And then they made him...
sorry, in the show, he was Portuguese. He was speaking Portuguese and
Yeah,
Spanish.
I didn't understand why they made that shift. I thought that was weird. I don't know.
But also, they made him like, I don't remember, they made him like a raging, like druggy alcoholic.
Yeah, I also didn't understand that. I was like, I feel like this is a little bit cliche.
Yeah.
So anyway. I wasn't sure why they made that. There were just some changes that they made maybe they were trying to make him more engaging. I don't know. I liked his character in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they made all the characters were just a little bit darker in the show, I think.
You know what? One of the scene I kept waiting for that never came was they arrested Harper in the book, and at one point, but then they had to let him go because they had zero proof because he's in and out of timelines, right?
Mhm.
That none of that was in the show that I remember.
Yeah.
Like he was never arrested or anything, I don't think, as a suspect.
No. I don't think so in the show.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that, because I kept waiting for that scene, because like that's going to be really cool to see how they do that, because you know the whole time they're trying to figure out who is this guy. Nobody's believing Kirby, so I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting for them to bring him in and then be like, oh, this is the guy, but we have nothing to hold him because there's no proof, because none of it makes sense, so they had to let him go, and then it never came. So I felt like that was kind of a cool scene in the book that I wish they would have put in the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so I mean, I know we've kind of touched on everything, but based on the book, because now that, you know, we've read and watched both, what is your favorite thing about the book?
I wrote down multiple things. So
yeah, that's fine.
And one of them, okay, so I really liked in the book, I liked that there was the extremely slow little romance, but I liked that there was like a connection between Kirby and Dan. And they did kind of start to get there in the very last episode. I felt like when she like sits on the bar at the very end, she sits on the bar stool next to him. But I liked that it actually there was a kiss at the end of the book, so I liked that.
Definitely added a little more lightness that would have been nice to round that out a little bit.
I really liked there was some stuff I liked the reality shifts in the show, so that's like one of my favorite things about the show. But in the book, I thought the Kirby, okay, so it's horrible to say this, but Kirby's like attack scene and the dog, that whole scene really stuck with me. And like the dog trying to save her, in the book, the dog trying to save her, the dog did save her, essentially. The dog dies in this book, but I just like I felt like that was one of those moments when I was listening to it where I just had to like stop what I was doing and was just kind of like,
yeah, that's true. Oh. And then they kind of brushed over that in the show.
Yeah. And she had a little dog, so that little dog wasn't gonna.
I know, I was like, oh.
Yeah. And in the book, I liked seeing the other girls, even though I didn't really feel connected to them. It was still interesting to see the different times and the different, just like how different they were from each other. And then I wrote down for the book and for the show that I liked the endings, but they were so different.
Yeah, they really were.
I really liked the way that the ending of the book was wrapped up with like, it's different. It's so different because I think that the issue is that the Kirby character is so different in each of them. So like in the book, she there's like this whole big fight scene, and you know, for a second you think Dan is going to get stuck in dying in 1920 or something like that. And she like burns down the house, essentially. She kills Harper and burns down the house. And then we learn that Harper is the house or something like that, like very confusing. But I actually really did like that it was like a little bit tidier in the book, but I liked in the ending of the show that Kirby basically becomes Harper.
Yeah, she's in the house.
And she says his lines, she does his stuff to him. The stuff that he was doing to the girls, she does to him. And now he's the one experiencing the reality shifts.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely like at the helm by the end. And like you said, it was nice that there was just that little whisper of a, you know, potential romance between them, just because I feel like went through so much on the show.
Oh,
I
know. And I was
to
like,
have
so
Dan die and
I
then
know.
like, oh my God. Yeah. So it was nice for her to be able to go back in time or whatever.
And I think it was especially gutting because other than Jenny, Dan was the only person who knew what was going on and believed her. And she had told other people, and everybody else kind of like her mom and her sometimes husband, who ended up getting her like fired because he shared her crazy journal with
their boss.
Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's so multi-leveled, everything. Like it's really interesting to really look at the show and the book for sure. I'm not saying I want to go back and reread the book or anything, but it makes me curious. Like, had I watched the show first, going and reading the book, if I would have done it like the other way around instead of reading and then watching, how my experience would have differed, you know?
Well, I was doing them at the same time, so it was really confusing. Because I kept waiting. There were things that I would read in the book and I was like, is this going to happen in the show? And like, I didn't know if it would ever show up. And I kept waiting for the reality shifts from the show to happen in the book. And then I finally figured out that was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super, but I wouldn't recommend to do it that way. However, I will say, I think that if I had watched the show first and then I went back to read the book, I would have been disappointed that the reality shifts weren't in there.
See, and that's why I think it's so confusing, because they were almost bothering me because they weren't in the book and I was just confused the whole time. So that's why it's so hard to really compare the two, because they are so different. It's like, I mean, it's difficult to follow as it is because you're already time jumping back and forth through different people's heads, but then to add in the shifting times, or the shifting realities, or whatever you want to call them for Kirby's situation. Yeah, I was just like, one more thing for me to try and figure out.
I wonder why, why did Harper do like the crazy stuff that he did? Like, why did he in the show? Because in the book, there was like this sense of he felt like he had to do it like a certain way or ritually, or he felt like it was almost like he was appeasing the house, or he was feeding the house. Like the house needed him to do it for some reason.
Yeah, they didn't make it like that in the show.
But in the show, it wasn't like that. And he was so twisted about the way he did it. Like I guess he would do this in the book. He would visit the girls when they were younger and tell them that he would come back for them. Creeper. And then he would come back when they were grown up and kill them. But in the show, he would like send them, or he would put like Polaroids of them.
Yeah, that was so creepy, like, especially the Julie scene.
Oh. Yeah, like
he would so creepy.
She would find Polaroids of herself in that exact moment. Like, I don't know. I didn't understand why. I think he's just a psychopath.
Yeah,
like that's what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think, I know Leo's not in the book. What do you think his deal is? Because pretty much when we know that he kind of fought with Harper in the war, whether or not how well they knew each other, I don't know. I don't think they knew each other very well, but they knew each other then. And then they find the house together in the show. But through most of the show, Leo is in like a home, essentially. Like he's not quote unquote okay or there 100%. And he kind of goes in and out of his own reality. And he kept saying, you need to take me back to the house. You need to take me back to the house. But the house, so it alluded to the fact that he was kind of losing his mind because he wasn't at the house, but the house never was the same for him as it was for Harper. Like he couldn't transport or go to different times like Harper could, right? Unless he was with Harper.
Yeah, but even Harper couldn't. I think it was, the way I understood it was less that it was about being away from the house, because like remember when Harper was in the hospital, like in the late like 80s or something, hospital, and he or 90s, I don't know, but he was feeling the effects of quote unquote being away from the house.
Yeah.
I was beginning to think that it was less about him being away from the house, because I think they talked about it a little bit in the book too. And I was more thinking that it was about him being out of time, like out of his time, his
For too long.
timeline. Like he didn't belong in that time, and that he was in that time for too long, and that he needed to be in the house because the house was not in any time.
Okay, so then Leo was in like the 90s time, and he was clearly from wartime. So
Yeah.
he was just okay.
So he needed to go back to his time.
Yeah,
And
but
for
for how
whatever
many-
reason, he didn't have the connection to the house. Just like Clara didn't have the connection to the house. But Kirby, the first time she goes to the house, she can hear that like weird sound that Harper could hear.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy town. I'd be interested to know if the author who wrote the book, if Lauren, how she got this idea, like if this is like a folklore thing, or if this is like a haunted, down the street from her house sort of thing, like, or whatever it is. But it's a very interesting story idea for sure.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like a really creepy version of like a Rip Van Winkle kind of thing. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Kind of reminded me of I read it. This Way Comes. What's it called? Anyway, it'll come to me. But like the traveling circus, and they like feed on people, and I don't know. The house kind of I don't know, just the way that Harper and the house clearly had whatever this connection /
yeah.
because it wasn't whatever it wasn't just Harper, because the guy, at least if you think about in the show, the guy hung himself, we find out, one of the original guys. And then well, I guess that could have been for any reason, but I assumed it was because the house had taken its toll on him,
Yeah.
That's why he was like, it's yours, like hang myself or whatever. But anyway, well, I don't know. Any last thoughts? I think, do you have a preference as far as like which one you liked better?
Probably the show. Even though it was more confusing, but I think it all comes down for me. It all comes down to the third person POV.
Yeah. I think I enjoyed the show too, because I actually like was on the edge of my seat. I was worried about characters. I was creeped out by Harper. And it helps, especially if you're a visual person, and like I always say, I have a hard time going with the back and forth in time. Listening to it is a lot harder to keep track of than to like see the visual cues, and like I said, just the casting was spot on, and everything felt so gritty and creepy, and it really helped you connect more to the characters than like you said, with the third person in the story. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, pretty interesting. It's kind of fun because, again, like it's not like my favorite book or show that I've ever watched, but I would have never watched it or read it otherwise. And now I can be like, that was some crazy shit that I read, like it was just, it's a fun experience,
Well, I think it was like the fourth show that we have watched on Apple TV. And maybe is Raised by Wolves not on Apple TV? I was thinking it was. Super weird show.
Yep, stopped watching that one too.
But Severance is on Apple TV. It was really good. Also super weird. Super weird. But in a very different way. And then Ted Lasso wasn't weird. That was just fun. But but yeah, Apple TV gets weird.
Watching Prehistoric Planet.
What?
Well, if you haven't started watching Prehistoric Planet, you better start, because that one's really cool too.
Is that on Apple TV?
Yep.
Is it weird?
No, it's not. It's like watching Planet Earth, but it's prehistoric. So it's like, it's David Attenborough, and he's narrating dinosaurs during, from 65 million years ago, whatever. it's really cool. It's really cool. They know like all these cool things about him now. And anyway.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway, a little lighten the mood a little bit here, guys. Let's watch the T-Rex swim through the ocean. Okay. Nobody thought that was going to happen, but it does. Okay. So
I guess they're going to have to rethink their location for Jurassic Park.
No. Whoops. Okay. So anything else? Any lasting thoughts or anything come to mind?
I don't think so.
I can tell you, Dennis was like, what are we watching?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I will say my husband was like, I don't understand what's going on. There was like a lot of cursing and
yeah, I told Dennis, I'm like, I literally cannot help you because I don't know what's happening right now either. This isn't in the book. Yeah. It's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we didn't give, well, yeah, we gave all the spoilers. We gave spoilers away. But I'm interested to hear what other people say who have read and or watched the show. I'd actually be really interested to hear what people say about the show who haven't read the book or vice versa.
Yeah,
because I don't know, like I wouldn't say that we're at a disadvantage, but it's kind of interesting to try and come at it from a different, point of view, that when you don't already know what you think you need to expect or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and if you have not either, if you haven't read the book or listen or watched the show, and for some reason you still listened to this whole thing, and you still want to,
who knows? Maybe we sold it and they're like, we have to watch this crazy shit.
Yeah, I would not recommend doing it at the same time. I feel like I would recommend reading the book first and then watching the show.
Well, I mean, it does the original story justice, right? Like it's based on a story that came out before the show. So if nothing else, it's like you'd want to know what the homage is to, like what are they trying to what are they trying to accomplish?
I think by reading the book, you learn a lot more about Harper's character. Even though his character's not exactly the same, I felt like I had a better understanding.
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Whereas Kirby had a lot more dimension in the show.
Yes.
So that's very interesting how they did that.
Yeah.
Switch that up a bit.
Yeah. Way more.
Yeah.
Well, and like Harper was way more twisted in the show, but
yeah, that's true. God, yeah. I feel like I love him as an actor even more now though. Like I said, they did amazing with the casting in the show for sure. So next time he's wearing a 1887 uniform in one of his historical fiction films, I'm gonna be like, I don't know if I buy this anymore after what I've seen you do, Mr. Jamie Bell. It's funny. But I think that's it for this episode though, right?
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Sorry we were all over the place. That was a kind of a interesting.
We were all over the place just like the show.
Yeah, like I knew going into it, I was like, this is gonna be an interesting one because it's so hard to even compile questions in a linear way that makes sense because everything's so chaotic in the show and the book. But anyways, don't forget to check out the show notes for our episode links, our book recs and that sort of thing. And we'll be back in a couple weeks to chat about our next book pick. And we're going to be reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I'm interested in this one because I've heard a lot about this book. I am hoping I'm not let down because everyone loves it. But another part of me, I have read another book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I wasn't a huge fan and a lot of people were. So I have that stacked against me. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a review wherever you listen and be sure to join our No Shelf Control book. Facebook group. Almost wrong pipe there. To weigh in on upcoming book questions and discussion topics. So until next time, everybody, happy reading and thanks for hanging out and we'll chat with you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.